Now, in general, let's talk about the CI workflow, right? And then at later stages, we'll talk about the CD. So coming to CI, which is continuous integration, as I mentioned, it has a certain stages, right? From committing a code to GitHub and then creating an image out of that and then finally publishing to ECR. These are the stages are involved as part of CI. Now let's understand how it works. So let's say we are working on a bug fixing or any feature requirement development, right? So once we are done with the changes, meaning once we are done with the writing code, what actually we do? We finally pushing that code to GitHub or any source code management tool. It could be GitLab, Bitbucket, or whatever you guys are using for your own project. But in this case, I'm using GitHub, so I'll be keep mentioning about GitHub, right? So once you are done with the changes, we basically push that change to GitHub, right? Now GitHub knows what all checks needs to be performed and how it knows. Basically, we have to write the configuration as part of GitHub Actions workflow so that it reads those stages and perform the checks. If all the checks are getting successfully passed, then finally we create an image as a package and Docker helps there to create that. And as part of this workflow, of course, I'll be using Docker and that helps to create the image, package as a bundle. And then finally we publish that to AWS ECR, right? Now, let's say if something fails during the checks, right, as part of GitHub Actions, then what happens? Of course, you have to look at the logs and then see why that has failed and if it is related to probably integration tests or unit tests or any linting checks. Basically, whatever the steps that you have defined as part of your checks, if any of them fail, then you have to look at that log, understand why it has failed, make the correction, and then again repush it. So when you repush the changes, the same workflow cycle starts, right? So now let's see what all general CI check steps are involved during this cycle. And then I'll for that I'll go to the next slide and then I'll come to this.